The film introduces us to Nancy Stokes, a 55-year-old lady who is unhappy after her husband's recent death and retirement. Nancy has been a respectable lady her whole life and has followed the social expectations put on her. However, one part of her life has remained unfulfilled: her encounters. Despite her age of 55, she has never had nice intercourse. This is what she is determined to alter at any cost. Nancy performs internet research in the first scene and finds an attractive escort called Leo Grande. She instantly hires him and gets an exquisite hotel room where no one would identify her. Nancy is concerned about the interaction at this point, since she has never dated a person before, much alone been intimate with a total stranger. She thinks, however, that by spending time with Leo, she could rediscover the joy she has been missing. Nancy arrives at the hotel room early the next morning and attempts to settle down. As the anticipated encounter approaches, her nervousness grows with each passing minute. But just as she starts to feel quickly impressing Nancy, she can't help but notice how much more handsome he is in reality than in the picture. She brings him a refreshing drink from the minibar as a sign of welcome, and the two converse politely. In the middle, Leo spots Nancy shaking and asks whether everything is okay. In response, she expresses her embarrassment about their considerable age gap. Nancy has second thoughts about attending this conference, since she feels what she is doing is ethically wrong. However, Leo, being the gentleman he is, tells her everything is great. He also says she is gorgeous and has a great figure. He even kisses her passionately to make her feel better. Nancy starts talking about her history as she regains her confidence. She explains that her late spouse was her only partner, but their relationship was a disaster. He never let her have oral intercourse because he thought it was degrading. Her spouse would usually kiss her on the forehead and go to sleep. Nancy then discloses something surprising. She has never had an orgasm in her whole life. She isn't planning on getting one right now since she is too anxious. Leo understands her emotions and does not attempt to push the issue. Instead, he holds her fiercely, seeking to rekindle her passionate spark. Then, while Leo consumes a candy bar, Nancy goes to the restroom to change into her new nightgown. When she finally comes out, she finds him lounging seductively on the bed. Nancy, on the other hand, is uninterested. Instead, she dislikes the scent of the chocolate he just consumed. As a result, Leo goes to the bathroom to clean his teeth. Nancy informs him that she has changed her mind upon his return. She no longer desires intercourse since she believes it is inappropriate for her. She tells Leo he may go with the money, but he decides to remain and speak to her. He is perplexed why a stunning lady like her would employ an escort when she could easily attract other guys. Nancy responds by revealing that other guys her age have shown interest in her, but she has turned them all down. This is due to her preference for young males. Nancy then shares more about herself. She admits that she used to teach religious education, but now lacks direction and purpose in her own life. She also acknowledged that she has made sacrifices for her two children, but even so, they have grown away from her. Nancy has spent her life putting aside her aspirations and desires to be a good daughter, wife, mother, and teacher. She believes she has squandered her life by constantly attempting to do things properly. Nancy also confesses being self-conscious about her looks, which she attributes to her mother's vanity lessons. Leo reassures her that being confident and enjoying one's physical beauty is normal. As their talk progresses, they develop liking and affection for one another. Nancy gets concerned and asks Leo whether his mother knows his occupation. She is curious whether he has a rough history or has fled from challenging conditions. Leo reveals that his mother thinks he works on an oil rig. She has no idea what he does for a living. He claims that since delivering personal services is such an essential profession, he doesn't feel guilty or sorry about what he does. After hearing this, Nancy feels a little better since she realizes she isn't the only one with these impulses. In turn, she relates her most sensuous experience to yet. It was 30 years ago that she and her family were on holiday in Greece. Nancy met a hot waiter and began having sexual relations with him. However, their romantic moment was cut short by the entrance of an automobile. Nancy thinks about that waiter often and regrets not doing more with him. She grows more comfortable as she proceeds to share her personal history. Leo detects this and kisses her suddenly. Surprisingly, Nancy becomes enthralled by it and eventually gives in to her cravings. The two then kissed and had a fantastic lovemaking session. Nancy approaches Leo a few days later and invites him back to the same room. She didn't ask anybody else since she was pleased with Leo's past service. Nancy offers him a list of sensual activities she wants to explore for the first time as soon as he arrives. It involves having oral intercourse. However, Leo notes that Nancy purposefully left experiencing an orgasm off the list. When questioned about it, she adds that she wants to take things slowly. Unfortunately, Nancy is once again hesitant to approach Leo. Her fears are compounded when her excessively reliant daughter calls. Fortunately, Leo is nearby to assist her in unwinding. He massages her and even dances with her to help her relax. Leo cautions her against putting too much pressure on herself to accomplish all her aspirations in one night. Leo eventually mentions his own family when Nancy speaks about sacrificing her youth and lost experiences for her family. He explains that he has a younger brother who is a military officer. They don't converse much these days, however. After some time, Leo advises that Nancy schedule additional sessions with him so that he might assist her in reducing her stress. Unfortunately, Nancy is offended since she feels he is here for the money. Leo instantly defends himself, stating that he sincerely cares about her well-being. Nancy can't help but wonder why someone as charming as him would choose to work in this industry, and what challenging circumstances drove him. Nancy has archaic views about sex workers that are widely held myths. On the other hand, Leo refutes her preconceptions by asserting that he likes his profession. He is not embarrassed about what he does since he knows it may provide joy and profit to others. Furthermore, his job sometimes entails more than simply intercourse. Some ladies have requested massages from him, some have scheduled him for a legitimate date, and others have paid him to cook meals in the kitchen. Nancy becomes thrilled as he continues to describe his line of work and starts indulging in oral intercourse with him. This boosts her confidence, and the two have a coitus once again. In the following scene, Leo and Nancy have their third visit in the same room. They had a great time experimenting with various postures and strategies. Their bond gets deeper with each passing minute, and they cross numerous things off Nancy's wish list. Nancy, on the other hand, has yet to experience orgasm. Nancy gets intrigued after the romantic session and begins to delve into Leo's personal life in search of additional facts. However, he flatly refuses, stating that his function is limited to providing imagination and nothing more. Nancy's curiosity gets the best of her, and she starts investigating Leo's ties with his family despite his obvious limits. Nancy confesses to stalking Leo online and discovering his true identity, Connor. Outside their meetings, she wishes to be friends and urges Leo to share his work with his family. Unfortunately, he feels enraged by this breach of privacy. Consequently, he changes his clothing fast and furiously instructs her not to book him again. He also cautions her not to contact him as an apology and parting gesture, but she wants to meet him at a cafe this time. While waiting, she runs across Becky, a former classmate who works as a waitress in the same cafe. As they converse, Leo enters, leading Nancy to fabricate a tale about why they are there. The waitress then takes their order and departs, giving the two privacy. Nancy seizes this chance to apologize to Leo. She admits her true name is Susan Robinson, and she thanks him for helping her acquire confidence and explore her sexuality. Nancy also notes that she has referred Leo's services to other ladies in her social circle who she feels might benefit from his help, just as she did. Leo smiles and quickly forgives her after hearing all of this. He then admits that his mother disowned him after catching him having group coitus with his pals. Even when they recently met pads in public, his mother refuses to recognize him. Leo also tells his brother about his profession, and the latter agrees. Becky then interrupts their talk and explains that Nancy was a terrible teacher in the past. She referred to the pupils as escorts, since they wore shorts. Nancy feels awful when she hears this and apologizes for her previous acts. She then informs Becky that she has completely changed and understands that pleasure is not terrible. She suddenly admits to Becky about her friendship with Leo and even offers his services. In the next scene, the two go to their hotel room and make love passionately. Nancy eventually had her first orgasm this time. After their meeting, Nancy informs Leo that this will be their last session since she has experienced all she desires. On the other hand, she wishes for them to stay friends, and he gladly agrees. The film concludes with Nancy admiring her physique in the mirror. For the first time in years, she feels both contemptuous and content.